All right, beautiful. Thank you for joining me for a yoga and meditation class. And if, as you may or may not know, meditation is actually one limb of yoga. So sometimes we think of yoga purely as like the asanas, the postures, moving our bodies. But some of the other forms that yoga takes are like breathing exercises, which we'll do, again, the physical postures, the movements, but also meditation. So I say it's a yoga and meditation practice, but it's really all yoga. My name's Holly. My pronouns are she, her. This is a floor-based class. You will want a yoga mat or carpeted area. And you might want like a pillow or blanket nearby, but it's not necessary. Today in our yoga class, we're going to focus on our hips. And then in our meditation class, we're going to focus on some relaxation. So you're going to find yourself in a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce. You can sit in Sukhasana easy pose with knees bent, one foot in front of the other. You can just start to rock right and left, back and forth, just feeling your sit bones on the floor. You can roll your shoulders forward a few times, backward a few times. And just take a minute here to move in any way that feels good to you. So your movements and my movements do not need to mirror each other. I like sometimes to start out class just by, encouraging everyone to move in whatever way feels good to them. As a reminder that you are your greatest yoga teacher. I'm going to set like the pace of class and offer some suggestions for postures, but if at any point something I do does not feel good to your body, you are welcome to take a different shape with your body. You're welcome to skip the posture or do something else entirely, right? Yoga can be challenging at times, and that's okay, but we're never going to a point of pain. This is your yoga class. It is your body. It is your life. Enjoy your time here. Okay, so we're going to start with a very simple breathing exercise called 4-7-8 breathing. You will inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and then slowly exhale through your mouth through puckered lips for a count of 8. So the idea is you inhale pretty quick and get a lot of fresh oxygen in your body. You then hold that oxygen in your body, and then you slowly exhale through your mouth, which brings the body into the parasympathetic nervous system response, telling the body that there's no need to fight, flight, or freeze. It's supposed to be a relaxing breathing exercise. If after a few rounds, 4-7-8 breathing still isn't working for you, it can take a while to figure out how quick to inhale versus exhale. You're welcome to keep that ratio, but instead inhale for 2, hold for about 3.5 seconds, and then exhale for 4. So the idea again is you inhale pretty quick, hold, and then you intentionally exhale slowly. You are welcome to close your eyes or do a soft fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose with eyes open. Sit up tall, relax your jaw, relax your face. You're going to seal your lips. Place your tongue on your palate at the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. Exhale and begin. Inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slowly exhale through your mouth through puckered lips for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your nose, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly exhale through mouth, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose for 4. Hold for 7. Keep your shoulders and jaw relaxed. Slowly exhale for 8. Inhale for 4. You can count to 4 in your mind if that helps you focus. Hold for 7. Slowly exhale for 8. Let's do 3 more rounds of 4-7-8 breathing. Whenever you're ready, you're just going to return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. You might take a moment here just to observe how your body feels after that breathing exercise. And some people find 4-7-8 breathing very calming, others not so much. At any point in class, I'm describing something as like relaxing and it doesn't feel relaxing to you, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means, right, that we have different experiences with different, postures and breathing exercises and meditations, and that's okay too. So much of this yoga is just about observing yourself, and that interoception, right? Really being aware of what's going on in your body without judgment or expectation. If your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes, roll your shoulders forward a few more times, backward a few more times. Place your right hand outside of your right thigh. Keep in mind, I'm not mirroring you. Place your right hand outside of your right thigh and reach your left arm long overhead for a side body stretch. Notice if you start to tilt way to the right, try to press down through your left hip and left knee so it's the spine moving. Good. Come back to center. Place your left hand on the floor. Other side, reach your right arm long overhead. Good. So think about lengthening the arm, drop the shoulder. Good. Come back to center. Place your right hand on the floor. Let's do that again, incorporating the breath. Inhale, reach your left arm up. Good. Exhale, left hand down. Inhale, right arm up. Good. Exhale, right hand down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, left arm down. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up, palms together. Exhale, hands through heart center. Good. Arms down. Let's try that again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, palms through heart center. Exhale, at the same rate you move your arms. Good. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Big stretch up. Exhale, hands through heart center. And this time, let your thumbs pause at your sternum, press your palms together, feel your biceps activate, drop your shoulders, stretch the crown of your head up. Imagine your spine getting a little bit longer here. Good. Take your arms down by your side. You're going to bend both of your knees so that your feet are on the floor. I'll show you from the side. You can bring your hands behind you, and especially if you have your fingers pointing towards you, you might notice that this is a wrist stretch as well, right? You could also have your fingers pointing out or back, depending on your mobility and what feels good to your body. And then from here, you're going to windshield wiper your knees, right and left. So again, we're going to focus a little bit on hips today. So you're moving the hips here. Good. Trying to keep your sit bones down on the floor, so it's the hips doing the work. And also keep in mind that our ranges of motion might be different. So even if we are doing the same posture, right, they might look different, and that's okay too. Great, you're going to come back into a neutral knee position, feet on the floor, knees, feet together. Walk your hands in a little bit more behind you so you're sitting up tall. I'm tenting my fingers, you can as well. And you're going to start to bring your knees out and the soles of your feet together for what's called butterfly pose. And at first your knees might be right here, right? And that's okay. Eventually the knees might drop down. If you'd like, you can actually place your hands on your feet and give yourself a little bit of a foot massage here. So we're also incorporating some like gentle touch, healing touch into our practice. I love walking, especially in the summer. I walk around a lot. It's always nice to give a little massage here. Great. Okay. From here, you can keep your hands on your feet or your ankles, and you're just going to start to move your knees up and down, almost like a butterfly. That's why sometimes this is called butterfly pose. And butterflies are symmetrical, but we are not. We're not butterflies. We're perfectly imperfect. So, in a yoga practice, you might notice that one shoulder is tighter than the other, right? Or one knee is tighter than the other. And yoga will give us both the tools to like observe any, incongruencies in our body. It gives us the tools to address some of those incongruencies. And it also gives us the tools to be okay with the fact that like my right hip will probably always be a little tighter than my left hip, and that's okay too. From here, you're going to start to just let your knees drop. And again, your deepest extension of the posture might look like this. You might let the knees drop down a little bit more. Sometimes people call this the most spiritual posture because it's the meeting of two souls. Your feet are together. I actually love that really bad joke because So much of, I think, spirituality is community, right? The meeting of two souls of your feet or of people together. If you'd like from here, you can actually place your hands on your knees and like gently press down. You're not forcing your hips to open, right? You might also play around with bringing your feet further away from your groin, which you might find the knees can drop down more. And you might also play around with bringing your heels closer to your groin, which will deepen the hip opener. Good. Sitting up tall, you're going to roll your shoulders forward a few more times, backward a few more times. Good. And then drop your shoulders. Good. Place your hands outside of your knees. Bring your knees, feet together. Good. And then you're going to lengthen your legs so that your feet come onto the floor. Okay. From here, keep your left leg straight. Cross your right ankle on top of your left shin. And again, at first, maybe the knee's up high. Eventually, the knee will drop. You can keep your ankle on your shin, or you might try bringing it in to your knee or even your thigh, or even heel towards your left hip. And this is what's called half lotus. So, in yoga, I think one of the postures that we most associate with yoga is, right, like you see a sage like sitting in lotus pose. This is pretty inaccessible to a lot of people. Half lotus is a really good place to start, right? So you're still getting that external rotation to the hip and knee here. Again, never forcing the body. Good. You're going to slide your right foot down. You can use the help of your hand, or if you'd like a hip flexor strengthener, you can try to do it without your hands, and then cross your left ankle over your right shin, right? Option to stay here, start to slide the knee up, maybe bringing your heel towards your hip. Great. Take a breath here. Good. Slide that left foot back down. Again, if you want that hip flexor core challenge, don't use your hands. You're going to lengthen the left leg. We're going to do that again, maybe lifting the ankle a little bit higher on the thigh this time. This time, you can inhale, sweep your arms up, and exhale, fold, right? So you're folding forward a little bit with a flat back, and now you might feel a stretch through the hamstring calf. You can also flex your left toes back towards your face gently to stretch the left Achilles, and then point your right toes to strengthen the right calf. Shoulders down, chest up. Good. Walk your hands back in, sit up tall, straighten your right leg, other side, cross your left ankle over right knee. Again, you can flex the right toes, point the left toes, inhale, arms up, exhale, fold. Again, you might observe that this side feels different from the other side, or your range of motion is different, and that is really normal and not a bad thing, right? The good thing in yoga, the thing that we want to celebrate, is just our observation and our self-awareness. Good. Walk your hands back in, come back to center, keep your right leg straight, kick your left leg out, inhale, arms up, flex your toes back, exhale, fold. And depending on your body proportions, you might have your hands outside of your hips, your knees, your calves, or if you, like me, have a long torso, right, you might be able to catch your toes. If you ever see someone, who can touch their fingers to their toes easily, it might be flexibility, but likely it's body proportions, right? If you have longer legs, I'm jealous, but your hands might be here instead. It's not necessarily an indicator that you lack mobility. Good. You're going to walk your hands back in. Once again, you're going to put your hands behind you, bend your knees, feet on the floor, windshield wiper your knees. So that butterfly pose and that half lotus, that was an external rotation to the hip. And now we're going to do what's sometimes called deer pose, which is an internal rotation to the hip. So you're going to start to bring your knees all the way to the left. And then think about bringing your right knee and left knee down to the floor. So if you ever remember in high school, like how cheerleaders would sit, right? Like when they were taking a picture, it's kind of like cheerleader pose. And there's different variations of this. You might notice that your hip is way off the floor. You can place a blanket or pillow underneath your butt or underneath a knee or an ankle if that helps you feel more supported. You can have the knees bent more acutely, or you might even try having two legs at 90-degree angles, so knee and hip in line and then knee and ankles in line. From here, you're going to take your left hand behind you, right hand towards the left knee, and we're going to do a little twist. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, look back, twist. So a lot of, hip mobility in yoga is often, again, like external rotation of the hip, but we also want to internally rotate the hip. And that's what we're doing here in our deer pose. Look back, twist. Good. Slowly come back to center. Place your hands behind you. You're going to bend your knees, feet on the floor, and once again, windshield wiper your knees. Great. And then we're going to do the other side. Turn your knees to the right. And again, you might place a pillow under your knee, under your butt, under an ankle, right? Moving in a way that feels good to you. Maybe the knees, ankles, and hips drop down, maybe not. Again, this side might feel different. From here, right hand behind you, left hand to right knee, doing a subtle twist here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, look back, twist. Drop your shoulders, lift your chest. Notice where you might be holding on to tension in your body. See if you can relax the lower body a little bit more into the posture so you're not forcing or fighting it. Good. Slowly come back to center. Hands behind you. You're going to bend both your knees so that your feet are on the floor. Sitting up nice and tall. Bring your arms out to the side in a big expansive gesture. How much do you love yoga? This much, right? And then you're going to give yourself a big hug. You can grab your elbows or place your hands on your shins. Just drop your head down. So from the side, it looks like this. We're just giving ourselves a nice little hug here as we reset the hips. So now the hips are nice and square. Take a breath here. Great, release that grip, and we're going to turn and come onto our backs for the last part of our yoga practice. Okay, arms and legs down. So now we're lying in a neutral spine position with the heels close together and the toes apart. You'll notice that this is actually also a very subtle hip opener. This posture is called Savasana or corpse pose. It's also one of the more famous yoga postures. And even here in this kind of neutral body position, right, our hips are ever so gently opening up. Bend your knees so that your feet are on the floor. Keep your left foot on the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. This is called supine figure four. If you look down the center line of your body, your legs make a four shape. That's why it's called figure four. It's not very creative. Option to keep your left foot on the floor or lift your left foot off the floor, hug your thighs in towards your abdomen. And from here, you can keep your hands on the floor. You can grab the outsides of your thighs, or I like to take my right hand in between the legs and then interlace your fingers behind your left thigh, pull down. Keep your two shoulders, your two hips on the floor, head on the floor. Without lifting your head, you might try tucking your chin in ever so slightly so that the neck spine lengthens and realigns a little bit. This is a great hip opener, right? It's a nice side seat stretch. And we're also stretching out through the lower back. This posture is good for sciatic nerve pain, right? The sciatic nerve is the longest nerve in our body. It goes from the lower back all the way into the foot. And sometimes, you know, when the lower back compresses too much, that nerve gets pinched and it ends up being really painful on our leg and our foot. So in this posture, not only are we decompressing the lower lumbar spine, but we're also stretching out that nerve that goes all the way into the foot. Release any grip you have from the backs of your legs. Bring your left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor, other side. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Option to keep your right foot on the floor or lift it off the floor, hugging your thighs in towards your abdomen. Relax your feet. You can keep your hands on the floor. You can grab the outsides of your thighs, or you can interlace your fingers behind your right thigh and pull down. You might picture your spine getting a little longer here. Visualization is also part of a yoga practice. I actually think it's one of the more advanced forms of yoga is to just picture what's going on in your body, right? So you might envision your spine getting a little longer here, or your left hip or left glute stretching out a bit. Feel your body rise and fall with your breath. Good. Release any grip you have from the backs of your legs. Return your right foot to the floor, left foot to the floor. We're going to take a little bridge here. Rotate your shoulders so that your palms face down, arms flat on the floor. Lift your hips slightly and bring your hands in underneath your butt so your palms face down, thumbs might touch. Spread your fingers wide. Press down through your knuckles, your shoulders. Keep your head on the floor. Squeeze your glutes and start to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. So the butt comes off the floor. Rather than flaring your ribs apart, try to squeeze your ribs together, right? So this is a little bit of a hip flexor stretch, also a nice back bend. We're really engaging, strengthening the whole back of the body. So, you know, no joint in our body works purely on its own, right? Like our hips are, you know, in constant communication with our knees, with our ankles, with our shoulders, right? With our neck. And so here we're strengthening the back of the body to help support the hips. Good. Slowly lower your hips back down. We're going to take a happy baby here. Lift both feet off the floor. Keep your knees bent. Flex your toes back towards your face. Couple options. You can grab the backs of your hamstrings. You can grab the backs of your knees, or you might even reach for your feet and see if you can grab the outsides of your feet with your hands. So I like to have elbows inside and hands outside. From here, we're going to rock right and left, back and forth. This is a great way to stretch out the back. And maybe as you roll to the right, you can straighten your right leg to stretch the inner right thigh, and then pull back to center, bend the right knee. And then as you roll to the left, you can straighten your left leg, stretching the inner left thigh, and then pull back to center, bend the left knee. And you can try this a couple times, rocking back and forth, bending one knee, straightening the other. Or right, you can keep both knees bent the whole time if that feels good for you. Great. And we're going to come back to the center, 2 shoulders, 2 hips on the floor. Again, you might tuck your chin in ever so slightly to feel your neck spine lengthen a little bit. And then just allow gravity to do the work here. Think about bringing your knees to the outsides of your ribs, so out towards the floor. That's a great hip opener. Good inner thigh stretch as well. Release any grip that you have on your feet or the backs of your legs. Place your hands outside of your knees and bring your knees, feet together. Place your hands on your shins. Give yourself a big hug. Bring your knees in towards your abdomen. Good. Slowly bring your feet down to the floor. Keep your left foot on the floor. Cross your right knee over your left knee. Take your arms out to the side. You can have your arms long, perpendicular to your body, or you might bend your elbows, cactusing them like goalposts. And from here, we're going to roll to the left so that right hip stacks on top of left hip. So again, this is an internal rotation to the hip, as well as a spine twist and an abdominal wall twist. So we're stretching out our back here, right? Twisting the spine. We're also twisting our abdomen a little bit, which is good for digestion. Especially like, it's hot this week for the first time in a while. And I know like my stomach is a little bit confused by that. So spine twists, again, are not just good for back health. They're also really good for regulating and resetting your digestion. Good. Slowly bring your right hip back down to the floor. Uncross your legs, right foot on the floor. Other side, cross your left knee over your right knee. And then you're going to roll to the right so that your left hip stacks on top of your right hip. Try to keep the left shoulder on the floor, so your chest is opening to the ceiling. We'll just take a few breaths here. This is our last asana, our last posture of the day. Great, and as you're ready, you're gonna roll your left hip back down, uncross your feet, both feet on the floor. You can bring your arms down by your side. For your final Savasana, you're welcome to keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor, knees resting together. So for some people, this feels really good to the lower back to have it more supported. So you can keep your knees bent like this, or you can straighten your legs and have your arms and legs long on the floor. You can inhale, feel your body rise. Exhale, body fall. Your exhale can be through the nose or the mouth. Breathe in. And slowly breathe out. For your meditation, you are welcome to stay lying on the floor, or you can make your way into a seated position if that feels comfortable for you. And as we're kind of transitioning into the next part of class, I'll explain a little bit of what meditation is and is not. Also realizing I forgot something, so I'll be right back. So I like to define meditation as compassionate mind control. So it's not like a absence of thought or like total peace and and stillness. It's more just that we're aware of where our mind is wandering, and whenever our mind like really wanders away from the meditation or is getting stuck on something that happened earlier today, or we feel a certain emotion really bubble up, we're just going to observe that and then compassionately bring ourselves like back to the breath, back to the body, back to the present moment. So again, it's not like a lack of thought or total peace. It's more just being aware of your mind's patterns. There's no such thing as a good meditator or a bad meditator. There are simply people who meditate and people who do not. So for the sake of today, you're meditating, right? That's your first lesson. Good for you. And in general, in meditation, right, we want to still the body so that we can still the mind. However, if from time to time you find that you're really uncomfortable and you need to adjust how you're sitting or laying, you're welcome to do so, and then just make your way back into stillness. Okay. I'm now going to light a candle as a symbolic gesture that we're entering into a more intentional space. Being intentional with our breath, intentional with our body movements. It's funny, this candle did not really work. Intentional with our breath, intentional with our body movements, and intentional with our thoughts. Maybe this one will work better. Here we go. Okay. You're welcome to close your eyes or do a soft, fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. You can have your hands in your lap or down by your side. Or if you're lying down, right, you might even place a hand on your abdomen or your heart if that feels good. And then we'll just start to settle into a little bit of stillness and breath. Start to observe your breath. There's a book called Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It's a famous yogic text. Patanjali lived, I think, probably around 2,800 years ago. And again, meditation is part of yoga and is described in there as well. But Patanjali describes or defines yoga as like when the mind quiets, right, then you're practicing yoga. And with the breath, he talks about there's 4 nodes of the breath. There's the inhale, the pause, the exhale, and the pause. So as we enter into our meditation, we'll just take a minute to observe the breath. You're not forcing it in any way. You're just going to start to really observe that inhale, maybe that very subtle pause, right? Barely, for some of us, that takes a millisecond, that pause, the exhale and the pause, just observing without trying to manipulate your breath in any way. And we'll just take a minute here. You might reflect on what came up in that minute. Sometimes when we finally still our body and our mind, it's a feeling of like deep relief or peace or relaxation. And other times when we finally sit still and breathe, there can be some boredom that comes up or some anxiety or, worry about like, what am I supposed to be thinking about? And these are all valid. Again, there's no such thing as a good meditator or a bad meditator. It's simply that we're giving ourselves the space to observe what comes up when we still. And over time, you might observe that, the mind keeps coming back to like a particular task or a certain emotion constantly bubbles up. And this can just be an interesting moment of inquiry, right? Always reflect maybe on why that certain thought or feeling keeps coming up. Again, compassionately. So you're not judging yourself or being mean to yourself. You're just, maybe being a little bit curious and just noticing. So we'll take another minute of stillness and breath here. Without moving or looking around, just think to yourself where you are right now in time and space. So, like, I am in my apartment, right? And then start to zoom out a little bit, maybe to, the top of your apartment or your house. Then zooming out a little bit more to the tree line, right? And then maybe the city that you're in and the country, the continent. And zooming out a little bit more, almost like you're an astronaut in space, right? You might just observe our world literally turning. And if it's interesting, you might even zoom out a little bit, further away from our planet, right? Through our solar system, through our galaxy, maybe even to, the edge of the universe, which is ever expanding. You might just feel your body expand and contract with the breath here. And then we're going to start to zoom back in, right, into our galaxy, into our solar system, back towards the Earth. And going back through the ozone to your continent, your country, the area that you're currently in, back into your city, back through the tree line, back through your roof. Now imagine that you're hovering just a few feet above yourself. You're just observing yourself like you would a dear friend. You can sit here with your breath in and out through the nose. And then coming back into your body, soften through the top of your head. Relax your face. Give your shoulders permission to relax. Relax through your chest and abdomen, upper back and middle, lower back, into your hips, your seat, relaxing your arms and hands, softening the legs and feet. You might scan your body, notice where you're holding on to any tension. And because this practice today, right, focused a bit on the hips, we're going to bring our mind's eye to the hips. Think about sending a few gentle breaths into your hip area. And with every exhale, maybe letting the hips relax a little bit more. Again, this visualization is actually a really powerful form of yoga. I think it's like almost like a higher level of yoga than, opening our hips in butterfly pose. So we're just visualizing our hips here, breathing into the hips, giving the hips permission to soften and relax. A lot of us tend to carry tension and even like emotion in our hips, which can sound kind of weird, but if you think about, for example, if someone yells at you, we tend to hunch forward and we kind of like close our hips, right? And so over time, that tension can build up. So hip openers in yoga, or even just visualizing the hips, can start to release some of that. It doesn't necessarily have to, but sometimes in hip openers, right, people might feel like a certain emotional surge or energetic change. So if that does ever come up to you in any form of yoga, right, just know that that's really normal and valid. And if you're finding that you're having trouble relaxing your hips, you might just visualize what it would feel like for the hips to relax. And just breathe with that for a moment. And then you might also take a moment to thank your hips for all that they do. I know sometimes, like if I have a part of my body that is tight or doesn't work the way that I want it to, it can be hard to express gratitude. Then when I really think about it, right, like think about all the ways that your hips have helped you walk and run and sit and stand and move and be in community and be alone. Think about all the incredible things that your hips do for you every day. Just take a moment of gratitude towards your hips. And if you have a particular injury in a hip or like a tear, right, you might also start to visualize that area healing and regenerating. It's amazing the way that our bodies change, but also regenerate and work for us. And we can visualize that as well. And now bring your attention to a part of your body that feels really relaxed right now. Just feel what it feels like to have that part of your body, even if it's just like a pinky finger, right? Part of your body that feels relaxed. Observe that. Breathe into that. And then bring that same relaxation back to your hips. And thank your hips again for all that they do for you. There's another part of your body that you'd like to draw attention to or to send gratitude to, you can at this time. And then take a moment to thank your full self, your mind, your body, that connection. Thank your full self for choosing to come and practice today, right? Things don't change unless we unless we consciously decide to change them. And you took time today to breathe, to move, to be still, to go inward, to zoom out to the, the farthest reaches of the cosmos and zoom all the way into like a particular joint in your body, which is pretty impressive without leaving your yoga mat. Thanking yourself, thanking your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit. We might take a moment too to thank all of the yogis that have come before us, including, those thousands of years ago, including Patanjali. Thanking all of our fellow yogis who are currently sitting just like we are around the world right now, practicing. And then sending a well wish to all the yogis that will come after us. Take an inhale, feel your body rise. Exhale, body fall. Breathe in and empty out. You're welcome to seal your practice however you'd like. You can also stay in a meditative space for a while. Otherwise, I'll count us down from 3, 2, 1. Seal your practice wherever you'd like, or stay here for longer if it feels good. When you are ready, right, you can open your eyes and make any other gestures that you want with your body. I'm now going to blow out this candle as a symbolic gesture that our meditation time is ending. I'm letting the very real smoke clear the air as a reminder of when we take time to be intentional with our thoughts, with our breath, with our body, we literally change the space around us. Have a wonderful day.